Hello, beautiful people. Listen, Arama, welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be checking this video and it's titled Appalling. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry slammed as unkind to King Charles before Colombia trip. Interesting. We're going to be checking this video. See what we got to see. Let's check it out.
Now, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are reportedly being used during their royal tour of Colombia. Now, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are scheduled to visit next week. However, many Colombians are actually sceptical about that visit and actually worried that Meghan and Harry might be exploited as part of a PR strategy by the government. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, joining me to discuss this, I can think of no one better, is the royal biographer Angela Levin. Oh, Angela, what a fine mess they've got themselves into again.
Well, they've been in an awful mess for years now, haven't they? 4 years. But part of the mess, I would like to tell you, I think is extraordinary, that if you weren't getting on with your father, if you weren't getting on with your brother, and you really wanted to make it a good, warm relationship again, you wouldn't do something that would really annoy them to pieces, would you? I mean, I think this is an appalling way to behave. They've got no reason to do it. I think they want to do it because they're going to stay in a four-figure sum bedroom with all their own pond and all the rest of it there. And I think it's impossible because it is one of the most dangerous countries in the world.
Really?
But there is a but on that, is that Sophie went to meet the same woman that Meghan is meeting, the Vice President Francia Marquez, to talk about women who are not treated very well. And she wanted to try and help her and suggest what could be done. So that was in 2023. I was absolutely astonished when I read that because she's very close to the royal family and they wouldn't want Harry and Meghan to do that, but they obviously don't seem to mind Sophie doing that. So it can't be absolutely as bad as everyone's trying to prove. But it's very, very dangerous. The Vice President, Francia, has people have been trying to kill her several times, and that is with actual protection. So for them to do this, particularly that they're so keen that they have top-rate protection in the UK, and they don't think it's good enough to them. So they're coming to one of the worst countries in the world for safety. So, you know, what do you make of that? I think it's a way to slice the king again, to be unkind, to be very difficult, and to make him furious. Colombia is not in the Commonwealth, but nonetheless, it's a very dangerous thing to do.
And
But, of course, they will do anything that would make the royal family furious because they want to prove something. But Colombia, do you think the Colombian people would be wrong for thinking this way? For me, I don't know nothing about Colombia. I only watch them in the movies or watching the movies. So talk about how dangerous it is. I don't know how dangerous it is, so I'm not going to speak on the danger part. A lot of people might say, oh, it is dangerous or it is a dangerous place to live in or to be and stuff. I personally don't know. I wouldn't speak on that based on the fact that we see things in the movie, and sometimes when what they report in the movie might just be fictional or be from someone else's experience or angle. It may not necessarily be that way, or even the danger place may be a particular place, not the entire Colombia. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you've been to Colombia yourself, or if you're Colombian, let me know what you think about the country itself, because I don't like rubbing off a particular country to say, oh, it's a danger zone and all of that, because the media itself, sometimes they report a certain news or sometimes they report some certain information and make it look like a scarecrow when in real sense it may not be. But looking at this, they're going to Colombia for what exactly? Or are they trying to prove the royal family wrong? I'm not even understanding this. Maybe someone else will, but obviously this tour is giving one way. I don't know the expression I want to give or say to it, but it's not sitting well. What do you think? And the question still remains, do you think the Colombian people or the people of Colombia would be wrong if they are raising their concerns regarding this or regarding the Success's visits? Let me know what you think.
What's your take then on, normally with these kinds of visits, if their Royal Highnesses, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, wanted to go on some foreign trip, you would have to put in the request to His Majesty's government and of course the palace itself. Now, as far as we know, none of that has happened, right?
No, but they didn't do that when they last went to Africa 2 months ago. They didn't do that.
So this is causing all sorts of foreign policy headaches, isn't it?
Yes. The other one place did cause lots of foreign policy headaches because the man whose plane they borrowed, and you know they won't go anywhere unless they have a private plane, was owned, I think it was £20 million he owned in America, and they were trying to get hold of him. So it doesn't look good if you are there. They're not representing the royals, but they're trying to represent the royals. And you look like, you know, someone who is actually a criminal, or, you know, you sort of wonder what's going on, what's happening to us in London. If you're behaving like that, you cannot. Unless they break themselves completely, they haven't got the right to do that. And I think this will be very annoying. It was very, very upsetting for the King and infuriating for William.
All right, yeah. I'm going to bring in Charlie Rowley and Matthew Larser, who still join me now. I mean, Charlie, the fact of the matter is, what Angela's saying there is that they continue to cause headaches. Should they not have lost their royal titles to begin with to avoid this being an issue?
I think that's probably right. And I think, you know, we do like things slightly more black and white in these circumstances. You're either in the royal family or you're not.
Exactly.
And so this sort of halfway house that they've been able to have, so having the titles still, or using the titles still as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, all the while bringing out an autobiography that sort of slams and criticises your own family, where you have fallen out with your father, who is, you know, the head of state, you know, not just for us, but, you know, across the Commonwealth. You know, it's trying to have all of the perks of the royals, the royalty that they were part of, without any of the responsibility and without any of the ways and means of just how the family operated. So they have a platform, they have to use it responsibly, but I think there will come a time actually where King Charles may just have to say, you know what, enough is enough. If they're going to do things off their own back, which is going to be detrimental to the UK, or to make it even more difficult for the UK, so the Foreign Office might have an issue with a country in which they've decided to visit, and that country will use it to their advantage to say, well, we've just had a royal visit, even though they're not royals or working royals, then that will be complicated at some point.
Matthew, as a Labour man,
absolutely, because obviously they want the perks of the royals, but they don't want to work, which is true. So, I mean, this is rubbing off on the royals, like, okay, they can do this their own way. And of course, people will look at it, okay, they came to their country, obviously, as royals. Because what do you want to read off this meaning? Because obviously, they still have their titles. So people will treat them as royalty. And what do you think? And some of these nations, they may not want to get on the other side of the royal family, so they will not be or they may not want to be participant to not treating them as royals, regardless of the family drama they have. What do you think should be the way forward? Except the king himself would strip them of their royal titles and all of that. Other than that, people will still see them as royals, which is the sad part. And they want to do things their own way, which is not done, is unheard of. It's sad.
Are you sort of annoyed on behalf of the government that actually they're causing these kinds of sort of diplomatic nightmares.
Well, yeah, I think people may think that, I think Meghan might hope with her sort of her political stance that a Labour government might be more sort of pro them. But I think you're absolutely right. Whatever the government, the colour of the government in power, they are going to have issues with a pair who are trooping around the world, taking foreign policy into their own hands. Because at the best, they're going to be naive. And as we've seen, they can be exploited either by governments potentially like Colombia or by rich people who lend them a plane to try and whitewash their curry favour or whitewash their reputations.
The problem is that you can't, it's not up to King Charles to take away their titles. It has to be done through Parliament. And if they take away his titles, he still remains a prince and she will become a princess. And I don't think they necessarily want that either.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult to handle it. I think the fact that they've drawn back rather than trying to have open doors all the time. They're not closed, but they're not, is to try and work out something to do. It's quite enough now. And this is a game, I think. They'll love it. They'll go to every single country they can find that is actually inappropriate because it's punishment. And Meghan in particular is determined to take, to be very powerful
revenge.
And, revenge.
Yeah. And, well, revenge is the word, isn't it?
Yes.
Indeed.
And it's really depressing, actually, because, at the end of the day, it's a family. It's a family that doesn't, a grandfather that doesn't see his grandchildren.
Yeah.
And it's sad at its very core.
Yes, and so they can't get together because you can't fulfil a whole in an argument in just 10, 15 minutes.
No.
You need it for weeks and they're not ever going to come for that.
Angela, thank you very much as ever for your time. Matthew and Charlie, thank you to you too.
It's just sad to see what they're doing to the family, to the royal family, because obviously I don't think any family would do this. We're talking about regular family. Any regular family would look at this and be excited when somebody is using your name or your family member who has decided they don't want to be part of your family, but they want all of the benefit and all, but they're using it in the name of the sake of you sent them. Like, come on now, we have to be real with ourselves. We know, or maybe you have this one friend who you're falling out of and the friend is going off in the name that, oh, you're still friends. Like, we know that, okay, we as regular human beings will feel some type of way. So why are people trying to justify this? Like, okay, the royal family should not feel any type of way when they see these people doing this. It don't make sense. They don't want to be working royals, but they are still acting or going places like working royals. Like, make it make sense. Because if they were working royals, then there are some things that can be conducted and can be controlled in the sense that they know who to meet, where to meet, and what discussions they should be having, and what to do at the right time, right place, and what benefits they are supposed to get. So it's gonna be like a mutual benefit or mutual interest. That is how it is. I mean, sensible people would know this. You don't even have to be a working royal for you to know some things. I mean, based on common sense, you will know that, okay, there are some things you're supposed to do. There are some activities that you're supposed to conduct. There's a way you're supposed to conduct yourself to know. Then, let alone you are part of the family. But they say you don't want to be working, but you're still acting like you are working. We all know how that is. Because obviously, if somebody was relieved of their duties in their place of work and the person still go on behalf of the company, you know the term for that. And you know what that looks like. But let me know what you think about this. I'm sure tons of people have interesting things to share. If you're from Colombia, let me know what you think about this visit. I would really love you to share that in the comment down below, so we hear from the Colombian people themselves, or we hear from the people from Colombia themselves. I would really love your contribution on that. You can share the useful information you think might be really helpful. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all of that stuff. And until next time, see you in the next video.